Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week? In an article written in US Weekly by Nicole Mazabrook, we learned that Jennifer Lopez kept her initial announcement of her engagement to Ben Affleck brief, but she couldn't keep the whole story to herself for long. In her On the J-Lo newsletter on Tuesday, April 12th, the Marry Me star revealed that Affleck got down on one knee when she least expected it. She says, quote, Saturday night, while I was at my favorite place on earth, in the bubble bath, my beautiful love got down on one knee and proposed. I was taken totally off guard and just looked into his eyes, smiling and crying at the same time. Lopez, who first got engaged to Affleck in 2002 before their 2004 breakup, added that she was trying hard to get her head around the fact that after 20 years, this was happening all over again. I was literally speechless, she said. And when he said, Is that a yes? I said, Yes, of course that's a yes. The wedding planner star cried with joy after he popped the question. She says, I was smiling so big and tears were coming down my face, feeling so incredibly happy and whole. It was nothing fancy at all, but it was the most romantic thing I could have ever imagined. Just a quiet Saturday night at home, two people promising to always be there for each other. Two very lucky people who got a second chance at true love. So, Daquan, that brings up an interesting question. Do you believe in second chances when it comes to love of any kind?
I think that second chances are real, second chances happen, and second chances are possible. However, that doesn't mean a second chance is owed, nor somebody obligated to give somebody a second chance. I think that in this situation, we have to look at, what's happening. I don't know everything about J-Lo and Ben Affleck and their personal lives and why they broke up, but based on things that I've seen, I know that part of it was media attention, the tabloids, all of that, all of these different things. And so we have to also realize that they were also both pretty young. I think Ben Affleck was, late 20s, early 30s, and J-Lo was also like early 30s when all of this happened. And so they were young. They were, really rising in their careers for stardom and fame. And so that has a huge impact on people. That creates so much pressure in a relationship. I don't know if there was anything else that created that type of schism between them, but that was part of it. And so we are all human beings. Nobody's perfect. We all have our different flaws, but we're also living beings. We grow, we develop, we change over time. So there may have been a situation where they, back then they couldn't see it. They were like, we can't continue doing this. We need to break. But come now, they've grown, they've evolved, they learned how to handle certain things that back then they probably couldn't handle, but now they do. So why not give that second chance for love? Because, things happen for a reason. Maybe you needed that time apart to really understand how much you love somebody. Maybe you had to take that time away to understand how to love another person in that certain way. And so second chances can happen, but you should never feel obligated to give somebody a second chance. One thing about me is I'm always protect my energy. And I really think that protecting your own energy is super important to just living your day-to-day life. So if somebody did something that hurts you, especially if it's so traumatizing, you don't have to give them a second chance. It doesn't matter how much they beg and plead and be like, I've changed, I've grown, I've blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if somebody hurts you in a certain way that is like your boundary, your line, that and they cross that, you can say, all right, one and done. We're through. Not happening again. But something like, oh, it was the wrong time, but maybe now is the right time. Why not give a second chance?
Yeah, I do believe in second chances to an extent. I'm a big advocate for working through the rough patches that every relationship goes through. I mean, the honeymoon phase of any relationship, platonic or romantic, doesn't last forever. There will be disagreements, there will be arguments, and sometimes feelings may be hurt. But as long as both parties are willing to work through it, willing to take accountability and willing to make a lasting change, usually those relationships just become the better for it. Um, Love, no matter what form it comes in, is not enough to sustain a relationship. You need quality communication, similar or aligned goals, and a healthy understanding of what you both need and receive from the relationship. Also, some relationships will not work at some points in your life. Sometimes people just are at different journeys, and trying to force a relationship with someone who is just in a different place than you are mentally will do way more damage than good. Doesn't mean that, you know, it can't work out at another point. It just means at this particular point, it can't. Whenever I found myself in a situation where I was debating whether or not to give someone a second chance, I've always asked myself whether or not that person truly deserves a second chance. I asked myself one single question: are the factors that made the relationship fail in the first place still present in any capacity? Because if they are, those same problems can re-arise, and then we'll just be back to where we started when we ended the relationship in the first time. But Daquon, this makes me wonder. I mean, do you think that cutting people off completely is sometimes the best course of actions in some situations? Bitch,
Absolutely.
I know the fuck not. You got scissors,
Well,
bitch. I fucking
for the podcast listeners, I took out a pair of scissors on the ready because if there's one thing I know and two things for certain, I am not afraid to cut somebody off. I am a Capricorn with a lot of air signs in me. So, like I said before, I'm all about protecting my energy. And I think
yeah.
that if something happens between you and another person and it's consuming you, consuming
Mm-hmm.
all of the energy that you can give to whether it's school or work or your passions, your career, cut them off. Be like, you know what? I'm not even going to give I'm not even going to pay you dust, pay you no mind. Because
Yeah.
if thinking about you is going to drain all the energy that I have to give to what I want to give to,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to want you in my life. If you are being an energy vampire, I'm not going to want to have you around me. And if you hurt me in a certain way, I am not going to give you a chance to hurt me in that same way. So when it comes to certain situations, sometimes you need that clean cut. You need that clean break. Just be like, you know what? We are going completely different ways. I don't want to hear from you because it could bring up all of these different things. And I know a lot of people say you should work that out, like everything like that, but I don't have to work it out with that person. I can
Yeah.
work it out with a therapist. I can work it out with a friend. I can work it out with any other type of mental health specialist or whatever mental health support structures that I have. I don't
Yeah.
have to work it out with that person. And I also think that there's a part of, being like, I release this person from my life that brings you peace. Be like, it's gone. We're through it. We're going to, whatever trauma, we're going to work through it. But when it comes to that person, they are no longer a part of my life in any other way. And that can bring me peace. But
Mm-hmm.
just like I said, nobody is obligated for a second chance. I'm not obligated to give somebody else their peace. Their peace is their
Ooh.
peace. My peace is my peace. And
Ooh.
I'm going to worry about my peace.
I agree. I think that you have to know when some relationships are just beyond repair. While I'm not a big fan of Tyler Perry, his play Medea Goes to Jail has a monologue in it where Medea is addressing the audience that I still go back and watch to this day because it's some of the most sound advice I've ever heard. To sum it up, he says, there are people in your life who come in for a season, and there are others who come into your life for a lifetime. But you have to remember never to confuse those seasonal people with lifetime expectations. And that stuck with me because sometimes we make plans for people in our life, immense plans about what we'll do with them, where we'll go with them, the future that we see with them. And while I'm not a Christian, I do believe in the saying that, man makes plans and God laughs, because so many times we are so ready to find love or so ready to have that lifelong friend that we excuse behavior that we know is wrong because we just want to cling to them so desperately because we just don't want to be alone. And the sad fact is, sometimes the very same people that we are clinging so hard to are the people that we were only supposed to have in our lives for a season. I believe that some people are moved into your life by the divine for a reason, maybe to help you through a challenge that you're going to experience, or to teach you a lesson that will give you wisdom for the future. But then you have to realize, just like Tyler Perry said in that play, when people want to leave you, let them go. You cannot hold on to someone who the divine is trying to move out of your life, because the tighter that you hold, the more pain you will endure. And understand that this goes for the other side of it too. Those very same people who you had to remove from your life may try to pull you back in and hold on to you just as tightly. They want to leech onto you and devour you whole and will use every trick in the book to get you to open your heart back up and let them in again. My mom said something today that really got me together. She gathered me. You see, those people who come back into your life, the same ones you cut out for good reason and have shown, no signs of change, will oftentimes tell you something like, grow up and let it go. And my mom said, you have to remind yourself that you did grow up. That's why you let them go. That
Ooh.
person is no longer helping you through a challenge or teaching you a lesson. Now they're just impeding on your personal growth and progress. I mean,
Wow.
bitch.
That's a word. That's a sermon right there.
But no, seriously, that part where my mom said that like really got me. Like, you did grow up. You let them go because we're done. We're done.
Right.
We were at a place in our lives when we were together where it did work and things were good. But I'm at a different point in my life now. I've grown out of you. And whatever energy you have brought into my life, I don't want it back anymore because you are bringing the same shit you brought that you did then. And I don't want that back here. It's going to be a no for me, Simon.
It's a no. Right. I found my peace.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you disturb that.
Per.